Hey guys, Joseph here, bringing you the very first do-it-yourself video. What I'm going to cover in this video is taking off and putting back on the head for your SWF machine. Right behind me I got a B-Series compact single head. Not that much difference between changing or doing this job on a single head versus a multi-head. Only a couple things that I'll note later down in this video. So when we replace the head, or when we take off the head, it gives us a lot of access to most of the repairs that you would have to do. Replace the reciprocator, you can grease everything on the inside. If you ever have a bind on the machine, if your color changer gets stuck, taking off the head would be one of the steps to take so we can filter out what kind of issues you're having. So it's kind of important to learn, to understand the head and how the machine actually runs. So hope you guys enjoy. Alright, so let's go over the tools that we're going to need for this job. First set of tools, pretty simple job. We're going to need a small Phillips screwdriver, small head, because this is going to be used to take out the ground wire that's connected on the back of the tension base. We're going to need a 3mm Allen wrench. You can use the T-handle or any regular Allen wrench, and just a medium-sized Phillips head. So these are the three tools that we're going to need for taking off the head. Okay, so first what we want to do when removing the head is we want to separate the cables that connect into this top tension base unit. So all the cables that are coming from the actual machine plugging into the back of the tension base we want to remove. So we're going to take this front cover off first. How we remove it, you grab it from both ends, left and right on the top. You want to push down and away. So push down and away, and it just clips right on off. Okay? We're going to remove the cables on the side. Main one is going to be this ribbon cable. All we do is unlatch it on both sides all the way, and the wire just comes right on off. Okay. There's one ground wire that's usually tucked away under here. Use your small Phillips head and just get that screw out. And then on the B compact machine, they have these little safety sensor switches. So we're just going to remove that out. Okay, we're going to open this cover, this little safety switch, regular Phillips, unscrew it, casing comes right on off, and then it shows us the actual switch, the safety switch. It's only one screw, unscrew it, the whole switch comes right on out. You just set that aside. So right now we took all three cables out. The ribbon cable, the ground wire, and the sensor switch for the single head B compact. We're just going to set them aside. Okay, we're going to move to the front right here. Now what I like to do is I like to separate this top tension base unit from the bottom head. Why I like doing that? It's more easier to manage. It's a lot more, you can see a lot more of the parts, so you can really see how the head really works in. So, to take that top tension base off, there's two Phillips screws right here on the top side. Okay? And then there's two Allen screws right here on the bottom. So let's take those Phillips screws out. There's one. Oh, there's two. Allen screws. One. There's two. Now that we have the screws out, this whole portion, this whole top portion is just going to come right on off. Okay? What I like to do, I'm going to flip this over and just rest it right here on top of the thread stand. Okay. Find that little spot where it's not going to move, it's not going to jiggle. So I know it's secure up there. I can worry about that later. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the actual head. Now, a couple little notes when we're working on the head. You have to take off the needle. You have to take off the head on the needle that you took it up, that is currently on. So right now I'm always on 15. Every time I take off the head, I don't know why, I just always pick needle 15. So to do that, we're going to take off this front panel right here. It's 4 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to take those off. Okay. After we got those screws out, this little cover just comes right on off. So this is going to show us all of the take-up levers and then all of the needle bars right here. So what we're going to need is we're going to have to use our Allen screw and take out these 4 screws that hold on that whole head. Now remember, whatever needle that we're on, we want to make sure that we're on the center of. I always do 15, so we're on the center of 15. So when I put the head back on, I want to make sure it's on 15. So once the head is off, I don't want to move the position of this color changer. So do not turn the knob. Make sure it's in the same position as when you took it off. If not, then take a look at the how to test, how to check your potentiometer video that I'm going to be coming out soon. So we're going to take out these 4 screws. Okay, 4 screws. Okay. Now when I take off the head, very important, there's 3 things that you always have to check. First thing is how the take-up levers actually latch onto that rail. So let me zoom in here really quick. Okay, so these are the take-up levers, and right now this is that little guide rail. So all of those on the back of each take-up lever, there's a little U-shaped cut. Okay, that U-shaped cut on all 14 have to latch on around this little rail. So you're gonna have, when you take it off, you're gonna lift up the head so it unlatches and the head comes off. And when you put it on, you want to brush up the bottom right up against it, and then kind of shimmy it and hug it, wrap it around so all of them are up. Okay, so let me show you. That's going to be the step, the first step. So how the take-up levers actually latch onto this little middle rail right here that sticks up. Okay. Second is going to be on the head, on the back of the head, there's a little rail that you have to latch on. If I could zoom in here really quick. Okay. So, this little rail, the head, the actual head part, has a rail sticking up. The head has an actual rail coming out. So what you want to do is when you put it, it's latched in right now. So we want to release the take-up levers first off the rail, and then we have to lift up, latch out this this little hook, and then after that you don't want to pull too far out because we have to think of the wiper. The wiper is what goes in and out, but it's kind of in the middle of the bracket right now. So if the wiper's in, we don't want to unlatch it too much where the bracket's going to pull and bend that wiper. Okay, so when you lift up, release the top latches on the take-up lever, unhook this part from the actual head, and then bring the whole head down to make sure that the wiper comes out of the bracket. Okay, so let me show you. Try to get a better angle. So what I'm doing right now, I have the 4 screws out. I'm going to grab it from the top. I'm going to lift up and forward. When I lift up and forward, remember, I want to unlatch all of these take-up levers first. So right now, once I'm off, I want to hold it in this position because I don't want to just pull straight out because it's still latched on the wiper and that rail. So once I detach it from to take-up levers from that rail, all of these are independently moving. Okay, so all of them are detached, no problem. Okay, then I want to pull it back just a little bit, and I want to lift up so it goes off of that rail, that hook rail that I was speaking of. And then after it gets unhooked, I want to bring it straight down so the wiper doesn't bend. There's nothing that gets that damages on the wiper. So this is the back of the head. Okay, it's just a bracket where the wiper goes in between the Velcro. These are the take-up levers. Okay, this bigger portion, the bigger opening, is where it goes in on the actual bearing, the drive lever, and the little bearing in the middle. This little small cut, these little small cuts is what wraps around that middle aluminum rail that I was explaining right here. It wants to, all of them have to be pushed up against it, and then we're going to lift up and kind of wrap those take-up levers around this rail. So once we do that, all of them are going to come up. So I'll put this back on really quick and then take it off so you can see one more time. Okay, so when I put it on, remember I took it off needle 15, so I have to put it back on needle 15. So first step is going to be getting my wiper in between the two velcros. Okay, so I'm going to get my wiper in there, and then after that I'm going to lift up. I'm going to lift this up so it's going to hook around that latch on the top side. Okay, so right now I'm in, the wiper's in, I'm latched on the hook with the head. Now we took it off 15, so I want to move the head over so I'm lined up 15 with that bearing that I was explaining earlier. Okay, now all these take-up levers are independent. All of them have to be down except for needle 15, the one that's going on. So I'm going to line up that bearing. Now when I put it on, just remember those all 14 needles, all the rest of the needles have to latch on around the middle of this rail all at the same time. Okay, so just keep that in the back of your head and think of what kind of motion you have to do to get that done. I'm going to lift up, line up 15, lift it up just a little bit, and then as you see me hugging the rail, you're going to see those take-up levers coming up all at the same time. That's a good sign, letting you know that you have that all 14 are latched in and they're starting to hug around that middle rail all at one time. So that's what we're looking for, and that's what we need. If not, if you get it wrong, sometimes might take some time to do it, but as long as you understand that concept, it'll help you out and save a lot of time. So let's say, for example, let's do it the incorrect way. So if I line up 15 with the center of the bearing, I'm going to lift it up a little bit. I'm going to lift up, and then I'm going to lose tension. So you see what happened there? This one's not wrapped around the rail. This one's not wrapped around the rail. So they're all uneven. This isn't going to work. We're going to have to take it back off and make sure that all 15 needles are wrapping around that rail at that same time. So we want to keep even pressure all along each side of the head. So we're going to bring all these down, line up 15 with that bearing, and then lift it up just a little bit. I'm going to keep pressure going forward. So I'm pushing in slightly, and then I want to hug it. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to lift up and push forward all at the same time, so I could slowly make sure that it's wrapping around. It's wrapping around that rail. Okay. Now right now, if I look on the rail, I know that all of them are in, but some of them are off. So that means that I'm not lined up with my bearing. So my needle 15 is not lined up with that bearing. So what I want to do, I want to kind of tap it just a little bit so it locks in. The 15 take-up lever is in the center of the bearing. It's not hitting the bracket because that's going to break it. You want it right there dead in the center. And once you're dead in the center, then everything fits in. Everything is even. And we could tighten up our screws. Okay? So right behind the head is this little slide rail that moves independently. Okay? We want to make sure that this slide rail is flush from both ends. Okay? Want to make sure that nothing's sticking out. And then when we put these screws back in, I don't want you to just put 1 or 2 screws and then tighten it up. We gotta evenly distribute the tension that the head's being put on, because we don't want the head to be lopsided. We don't want it to be off a certain angle, because that's gonna mess up everything else. So I'm just gonna put the screws in first. I'm not gonna tighten them, not just yet. Okay, they're gonna go in. Okay. And to just make sure that we got the head on evenly, make sure that the slide rail is flush. I want to put force, I want to push down while I'm tightening up the screws. So I'm going to put a little bit of pressure going down, and then I'm going to tighten up the top right one just a little bit, and then the bottom left. Okay, and then the top left, kind of like in an X motion. because we're trying to evenly distribute the tension on how the head holds onto the rail. So once we got that in, we could start tightening up one screw at a time to evenly distribute that tension. And we want to make sure that these are on pretty tight. Okay, and every single time I take off the head, I try to oil, I try to grease everything that I can. Take a look at your felt right here. I'll just do it, might as well, because you already got it open, and it'll really help out your machine later down the line. Okay, so we got the head back on, we took it off, we took it back on. We have to make sure that all of our take-up levers are wrapped around this little middle rail that sticks out on the aluminum bar. And then the wipers is securely in the bracket, and the hook is latched on with the head. Alrighty, so let's get these covers back on. First cover, little plastic one that we removed. 4 screws for this. There's 4 right there. We got to get this top tension base back on. So we're going to flip this right back over. Get all the thread out of the way. Okay. It's just going to sit right on top. I'm going to line up all the holes, the screw holes. And then the 4 screws from there. And the other screw I dropped on the floor, so I'll take care of that one later. So we have the top tension base, and remember, we separated those cables on the back side. We got to make sure that we plug those back in. Very simple to do. Let me try to unlatch this so you can get a better view. Okay. Ribbon cable. There's 3 cables that we took out. Ribbon cable just plugs right on in. There's only one position it goes in. And you want to make sure that it's pushed up all the way, and it should automatically latch those 2 side locks. So these 2 locks should be in. Push it up all the way, lock it in. You have your ground screw that we're going to screw right back into there. And then we have our sensor switch for the B series compact. So let me get that back on. One screw. Okay, so we put the plastic casing back onto the safety switch, and this is only for the B series compact. Any other machine is not going to have that. And that is how we set up the head. we put on and take off the SWF. Now the main differences between a single head and multi-heads is the first head is the head that has the color change right here on the back side. Everything else after that, they're just connected by a couple screws in between each head that hold the brackets. So there's a bracket, a connecting bracket in between head number 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. You just got to loosen up those, take out those screws that on that connecting bar, and then same concept, you could take each additional head off after that. So I hope this video helped, guys. Hey guys, hope you found this video helpful. I will be coming out with a lot more videos. If you have any special requests, let me know. If I have the tools and the equipment, of course I'll make sure to get around to it. Of course, I will need you guys' support. Follow me on Facebook. You can follow me on YouTube, and check out our website, www.abcsewingmachine.com. See you guys later.